I'm gonna send the rest of them this way.
Fine,
Oh, wait, I
thank
gotta
you.
keep one.
You might want to keep one.
Yeah,
So I
bring
know
it
what we're
down.
doing.
There you go.
Okay, so a couple of things coming up here, that, just to give you some information, and then we also are gonna talk about, the 3 to 6 ELA program that we settled on. So first I put the February 10th professional development. So all teachers are in session on February 10th, students are off for professional development. We're going to continue the same themes that we have since the start of the year. So we're trying this on this day to give some choice to teachers. So we're personalizing their professional development like we're asking them to do in their classroom. So they will have a session on personalized learning and a session on behavior that they're going to have some choice in. So we have 3 different ones running under each of those umbrellas, and they're going to get a chance to choose which session they want to go to. Then there are some mandatory sessions. So the MTSS and the data review sessions will be mandatory for all of them. So we're kind of working through that schedule. It'll go out probably the beginning of next week. So you'll get, and I'll make sure the board gets a copy of it, because there's 6 tabs. Everybody's doing something different at different times, but the data review in the MTSS is related to all tested subject teachers. We asked them to give a benchmark or a checkpoint that is in the central reporting system, which are ODE, state released questions. We're going to use that data to look at where there are some weaknesses within their classrooms and have them develop some intervention groups. And that's all the way from 3rd grade up through high school. We'll be doing that. And then our non-tested teachers will be working on common assessment and assessment authoring, and better aligning their assessments to either the state tests. And by better aligning, we're not teaching to the test, but just like anything you do, you want your practice to mirror what your game looks like. So
Right, you want consistency across the district,
Yes.
and this is an opportunity for them to get
Yep.
together and have those conversations.
Yep.
Well, we've never had those conversations. It's a really great opportunity for them to look at,
Mhm.
you know, even standards that they thought they taught and how well the students have mastered it, and then also what students have mastered that they may not have taught because they learned it in a prior year and all that. And really,
Okay.
I have to tell you that this is a day that I'm really excited about. I think the session, the descriptions are amazing. I think the work that's gone into it to really kind of, it's not just sit and get their work and they're doing. They're going to come out with a product that's there, and it's really that sweet spot of time too, because there's still a couple of months before you can go in and really make an impact. The overall end game isn't state assessments, but yet that's what we're graded by, so our students need to do well on it.
Yeah.
So, but they do have that opportunity to go in and grab that as well, and kind of see where their kids are, where there's gaps, if there's any, and kind of put in a plan to make it up. And then we're talking about, you know, assessment authoring, and we're bringing in people to talk about what a good assessment looks like. And it's no longer a multiple choice question, or even, to be honest, it's no longer even an essay that you can put in a chat, in an AI generator to get the essay out. So what do assessments look like in, you know, now given all the tools today, what does it look like to really show that a student's learned something? How do we get that product out of them? So I think it's a great opportunity. Dr. Mocker and the coaches have done awesome. I mean, I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Thank you. I have to give kudos to the coaches, because I wouldn't be able to do it. And administrators, when you're offering choice like that. So here's the other thing. When you start to offer choice, now I have to have 10 to 12 people that can run sessions. Do you know what I mean? And so it's finding the people who are willing. Coaches are always good about that, but we've had some administrators step up too that are going to run the sessions. So it's a lot to juggle, but it's pretty cool to see it come together.
Now, are there lead teachers at grade levels or teacher leaders like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
So,
Okay.
so we have department heads at the high school level, and then
Right.
we call them TBT or PLC leads.
Okay,
At the
okay.
elementary and middle school, so they'll help when the grade levels are together.
Right.
And sometimes, we do have some teachers that have stepped up also and will help do some of the presentations, like some of our teachers that
Okay.
are ahead in the AI area, they'll talk a little bit about some tools that they use, and then it'll be a work session.
Okay.
So, it's a lot of people coming together
Right.
to do some really
For
good
sure.
stuff. It is
Well, it's
pretty
nice when
exciting.
teachers can also be part of that.
Yep.
Great.
Okay, I'm gonna skip number 2, because I feel like that's probably our biggest discussion, is that selection of the 3-6
Okay.
programming. As far as scheduling at the high school, just wanted to let you know that high school has started scheduling. Guidance counselors are going into classrooms here in the next week or 2, and students will be getting their schedules together. I just want to give you guys a heads up that that's happening.
Mhm.
We're gonna use School Links this year for the first time, which is the program that we have, and the interesting thing about School Links, on the back end, it's taken a lot of time to set up, but we have the ability now for students to start to look at their whole 4 years laid out.
Mhm.
So when freshmen schedule, they're not locked in, but they can start to look at all of the electives we have. What space am I gonna have in my schedule? If I start here, where do I wanna go as a junior, as a senior? Do I wanna go to Auburn? So it's more of a planning tool for students, so we're really excited about being able to use that. That'll be a big deal, obviously, for the 8th to 9th graders as they start to, and 9th to 10th graders. Juniors and seniors are a little bit far down the road, you know what I mean? They'll still use the program, but it won't be as impactful on them.
Now, does this this has to help the guidance counselors to some degree?
It will, with the idea that they will now be able to look forward and say, okay, roughly we have about, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
This many kids want to take honors, this many kids want to take quantitative reasoning, this many students want to take CCP, this is what they're thinking. Again, the kids aren't locked in, and every year they'll still have to register, I'm thinking college, because I just had a
Yeah.
conversation with my kid yesterday. They'll have to do their scheduling, but it will
Okay.
give us an idea of what kids are thinking over the course of their 4 years, and also provide the guidance counselors an opportunity to have some more targeted discussions, you know what I mean? With adding the career electives, and this kind of falls into the program's follow-up, the Business Advisory Council is working on a senior capstone project. And that's gonna be related to our career electives. So next year, we're gonna push our career electives down to junior year. And this ties into the scheduling piece you'll see here in a minute. The senior capstone project is going to be centered around students growing their opportunity and their experiences in the career field that they choose. It will be completely personalized. It will be working with a business or someone outside of the school over the course of the year. So when you think about kids having the ability as freshmen to think about where do I want to be as a senior, that planning is critical now, because if I want to do senior capstone, I have to have taken a career elective junior year. So all these things will start to fall into place to get them. Now it's, again, they could take the construction career elective in 11th grade, decide they absolutely hate it, and their senior capstone could be in another area, that's fine.
Yeah.
But they will have had that experience of the career elective prior to making their plan for senior capstone.
Mhm.
How are we working with guidance to make sure they're ready to have conversations for kids that I have no idea what I want to do? Because I'm assuming there's a good population, when you talk freshmen, sophomores, they're like, I don't know, I want to get through next week, right? They're not anywhere near ready to start thinking about what's the rest of my 4 years look like.
Fair enough. You wanna
Yeah,
go?
yeah, we are working closely with that department, and Mr. Hall, we're having meetings to kind of take some of the paperwork aspect of their job off the plate so they can get into. Scheduling is a large job, it's a large job, not only logistically with all the paperwork and the keystrokes and all that, but then also getting out into kids and talking with kids. We've done a lot of work, and we're doing a lot of work this year to transition some of that task of typing away from our guidance department and into some of our admin assistants and administrative assistants, but we have to teach them how to use the software and that. So through this process this year, we're training them so that next year they can have a more robust conversations in the classrooms. They're still getting out in the classrooms. They're using the IE time to get into classrooms as well as using the Englishes, because every student has to have English
Right.
at some point. The other thing about scheduling that's a little different this year is we're making a concerted effort to get more on-site CCP courses. So our students who want to take College Credit Plus courses instead of going to Lakeland or doing them online, we are trying to offer them on-site either through our own teachers as they start to change what it takes to be an adjunct, but also through Lakeland. Lakeland is providing a teacher on-site and working with Dr. Clavin, who actually works with Lakeland and through Mentor. He's got a split contract, but he's helping to bring us and give us some cool offerings. One that we're really trying to pilot even is American Sign Language. So we are really excited about that as a language opportunity for our students next year.
And I think probably next month, we'll have a definite list of new courses, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's also some changes up here too, but I think that along those lines, just trying to give more choices to kids. I was also gonna say, Lori, we're starting to look too at giving kids more, some kind of career experience in 9th grade and 10th grade. So we're already planning something. So the reality is school personnel, we know school. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? And so until we start opening, and I can't fault anybody, even the guidance counselors, you know what I mean, for not knowing everything about every occupation. So what we're gonna try to do is offer those experiences and start to offer them at those younger grades where we're bringing people in, giving kids an opportunity to go out and see businesses, so that they can start to say, hey, I might be interested in that, or there's a company in Lake County that does XYZ, maybe I'll look into that, and we'll start to do a little bit more
Mhm.
investigation on their
Yeah,
part.
two quick questions. Do we do mock trial? Because I saw there was something in the paper, but I didn't see where
We
it
do.
was at. We do, okay. And then I saw some offering with the FBI offering, an exploration. I'll send you the article.
Oh,
Linda posted it too for kids, so the FBI one, I don't know if you guys saw it.
They do one for adults too.
They do
It's
that?
really neat, yeah.
Yeah, it's just some kids might be.
Yeah,
interested.
and I know we posted, there was something about a STEM day or manufacturing day, like AWT will do
AWT does
things.
one.
And I know I usually send it to Nick when I see it and he'll post it, so kids have that opportunity.
Yeah, I know that I'm having some discussions with my 10th grader right now, and he's totally
It's-
unsure where his life
it's
is
such a-
taking him, and
Yeah.
I have a little bit more understanding. I guess I worry about the parents that don't have that understanding to help kind of guide. So, I think we've ended in a good place, but I know there's just a ton of students.
We
and
just-
It's hard to have those conversations.
The high school did just have their curriculum and
Yeah.
the timing of it wasn't great because it came after 2 of the really cold days. They
Yeah.
are putting together and planning to put together some videos. We saw one actually Friday night.
The career elective video, if
the
you haven't
podcast.
seen it on Twitter, it's
Yeah.
so cool.
Our-
Because the teachers are talking,
Yeah.
Okay.
and they're talking about the experience, it was really neat. They did a nice job.
The other thing that's different with scheduling next year is Auburn Academy's had so much success. That they want the 12th grade cohort. In fact, I think it was 90-some% of the students said that they would participate in it. And so we're gonna have a junior cohort and a senior cohort of Auburn personalized learning students. The senior cohort may be open to others other than just Auburn students. As we continue to look to expand, and we continue to look to expand how we offer our courses. So not just traditional in-person, sitting in the classroom 3 times a week. There may be we're looking to do some personalized classwork with them where we do some options that can flex pattern after Auburn because of not only the success we've had from just student support and feedback, but also just instructional feedback and actually how we're doing,
Mhm.
like academic results. So we're seeing really good things and we're moving to that direction as well.
Yeah, and along those lines, that feeds into scheduling and how kids are selecting. Did Mr. Hall have any changes coming with the math curriculum at the high school?
On our radar.
It's on your
Yeah,
radar.
yeah, within the next week or two, we'll have
Okay.
information, so at the next meeting, for sure, we'll have an
Okay.
update on that one.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
It's in the works.
yeah, I have it narrowed down to 2 options, I think, but we have to make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay.
Okay, and then the other programs follow-up was the kindergarten camp idea.
Mhm.
So we're gonna get a meeting, Cheryl and I are gonna do this one together. There's a couple of kindergarten teachers and a couple of elementary principals that would like to be involved. We're gonna just look at, I'm not gonna say we're gonna lock into anything yet, but we're gonna look at some options on a different way, maybe to bring our kindergartners in and start the year off for them. That might build some relationships, give us a chance to look at where the students are and, you know what I mean, socially,
Mhm.
and academically, developmentally.
Mhm.
So that's in the works. That, we might have a little bit more information by next meeting to get, you know, whether or not we're gonna go forward with it and what we might be thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, that article was interesting that I sent
The
you.
preschool
The fact
one?
that
Yeah.
yeah,
I would
I just read the
love,
same
yeah,
article.
to go out, and we've talked about that for
Yeah,
years.
we
about
actually
going
talked
out.
about doing something over the summer.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
yeah. This was trying to engage preschool students.
Oh,
out in the
yeah, yeah,
community.
because, yes, that was, it was in the News Herald.
Mhm.
Mayfield does something where they go out to, or they offer them in different locations.
Right,
And, you know, parents bring their kids in, kids do an activity, and they kind
Mhm.
of work with parents. So we've done literacy nights like that before, but that idea, and this goes back to my, get me a bus. Remember we talked about
yeah,
that?
you talked about the
Going out
bus, yeah.
into the community instead of making them come to us, because sometimes that's a barrier.
Mhm.
Not only because of transportation, but because parents didn't have a good experience with school, so they
Mhm.
don't wanna come to school because they don't like us.
Right.
It was
You know what
the
I mean?
city though, wasn't it Mayfield Village who was doing it? It wasn't the school district.
Yeah, it wasn't the
Oh,
school,
it was,
it
the- oh,
was.
it was the city,
They-
oh, I
the-
misread
I
that
think the
then.
school collaborated with the city.
And they
to-
charged
Oh,
per
okay.
session, $45 a session.
Yeah, they were charging.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, see, I read,
Yeah.
see, I read
That's
right
why
under
I
that
didn't-
part.
I read it, but I
said,
was
"Great,
like-
give me
Yeah.
a bus, this
But,
is what I
but
want to
it's
do."
just the concept.
Yes, yes,
No, yes, the concept is really good.
Mhm.
The city charged $45?
Yeah, per session. And, yeah,
See, I would think that would be a barrier.
for us,
Yeah,
it would
yes,
be, because
for
we,
sure.
yeah, we charge, what is our tuition, $100? 120?
25 now.
125, I know, we just increased it, it had been $80 for years, then we went to 100, and we have trouble getting parents to pay that for the entire school year. This was $45, and I think there were only 2, if I read it correctly, 2 sessions per each,
Mhm.
so that was, to me, I
Well,
thought.
you read it a little more closely than I did.
It was just food for thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
But
and
no, the
again, I like
concept,
that,
we
but-
thought about maybe trying to do something over the summer
Mhm.
to attract, and get them ready. But again, staffing is always the issue.
I remember there was something, when I was doing the preschool, there was something in the summer that they were doing at Hale Road, and I think the ESC was involved in some way. I can't remember the name of the program, but,
I don't know if it
They
was
had quite a few
preschool specific.
go.
ESC does do,
yeah.
you know what I mean,
It was
their
probably,
tutoring or their
ESY.
summer programming, but I don't know if it
it
was
was probably
specific.
ESY. We haven't had to do extended school year programming for preschool in quite some time, but when we did, it was run by, we had, the ESC was running our program, and they had a center-based class.
Yeah,
Or-
that might have been it.
Oh.
Yeah,
over
over
the
the
summer.
summer.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so that kind of is the, just some basic updates of things going on, K-12. So the selection of the ELA program, so we have decided to recommend Benchmark Advance for our 3rd through 6th grade program. There were a lot of discussions and a lot of things that went into the decision. So while we are switching, you know what I mean, because K2, we do wit and wisdom.
Mhm.
And we're looking at 3-6, doing Benchmark Advance. There were a couple of different things. So just so you guys understand the process that we went through, we didn't do this lightly. So it started with a committee who narrowed it down to 2 choices. And we were looking at wit and wisdom and Benchmark Advance. This is, Lori, for you too, because we've been talking about this for a while, okay? So the committee narrowed it down to those two choices. And then I had a conversation with Abby and Rich, who are literacy coaches. And they really wanted to see some piloting done before we made a decision. So we took a third grade teacher, a fourth grade teacher, and a fifth grade teacher. And in each grade level, we found somebody who was willing to do each program,
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
With the exception, I don't know that we had a benchmark advance in fifth grade. That might have been the one we didn't have in fifth grade, because there was one grade level, one program that we couldn't get, or vice versa. I can't remember. Anyway, I think in fifth grade, we only had one teacher that was willing to do it, because we let them volunteer. We didn't force anybody to do it, because we wanted somebody who was gonna get on board and do it the best that they could. So we had that happen. In November, we sat those teachers down that had been doing the programs with all of the three, it was just 3-5 teachers. We did not include sixth grade teachers at this point. With all the 3-5 teachers, they talked about what they were experiencing, the pros, the cons, and we had a conversation with that whole group of teachers. Then we kind of came together, and last week, the coaches, myself and Chris sat down and we looked at how each program fit into our larger district goals. So that's how we kind of came to Benchmark Advance being the one that we think will best meet our needs. I'm asking that we go ahead and purchase for sixth grade. So the program only goes through sixth grade. But through our discussions, I really have started to think that maybe this would be a good way to alleviate some of the transition issues that we have. Instead of looking at 6th through 8th grade as a chunk, keeping 3rd through 6th grade, consistent with one program, then they won't have to learn those routines. We won't even have to consider what other program we want to use. We're just going to go ahead and purchase it. Gary said he thought we could swing that if we waited and to do the 6th grade purchase till July 1, money-wise. So that is what I would like to put on the board agenda for Thursday. Wait, today I am going over the quote with the rep. But we're looking at, I think, 237,000. I can actually run over and grab it.
How's the
What she
shipping?
said.
I'm just asking ahead
Well,
of time.
here's the thing is
They're not
so wait,
interested in
so before we talk about that, let me back up for 1 second. I want to also talk just a quick minute about how Benchmark Advance fits into our bigger district goals, because that was a big thing. We were really stuck as a leadership team, and when I say leadership team, Chris and I and Abby and Rich, you know what I mean? As we start talking about this, there was, you can find this many people that were Wisdom and this many people that were Benchmark Advance. So Chris started walking us through a series of questions, and we were talking through them. Benchmark Advance seems to offer more opportunities for personalization and self-selected text, with personalized learning being a big initiative that we're having. That was a plus. That self-selected text, while Wit and Wisdom went very deep into the text that they went over, kids never really got a chance, the teachers felt like, to choose their own books. And we all know that there is something to be said for picking your own book and reading what you love. Just like this weekend, Chris recommended a book. It turns out I love it. I'm 3/4 of the way through it. You know what I mean? Where he said, hey, you should read this, and there are books that are still sitting on my desk. Like the math book that I bought, that I told Katie I would read. Not as interested in that. So that's important. The teachers who are teaching Benchmark Advance thought that it identified targeted skills more clearly. And through our MTSS process, it'll be easier for us to provide interventions to those students. So where Wit and Wisdom was a little bit more broad rather than targeted skills they were working on, the teachers felt like they could identify those skills and then move that into an intervention setting more easily.
Right, and with the little ones, we're supplementing with phonics programs and other things to meet that.
Yes,
those other
yes,
needs.
yes.
So,
Well, and the other thing is Benchmark Advance embeds phonics instruction in
In
third
the-
grade.
Right,
Whereas if we went with wit and wisdom, we would have to be looking at how do we scale up
Yeah.
that second grade stuff to use it in third grade, because they weren't as much as phonics heavy. One of the last things is that the social studies and science standards, there are a lot of them embedded in the
Okay.
benchmark program. We are gonna have to steal time somewhere. We need more than the 80 minutes that we have allocated to literacy instruction. Having some of those science and social studies standards embedded in the language arts curriculum makes me a little bit more comfortable if we have to steal some time from social studies and science
Mhm.
instruction at that 3, which would be more of a 3-5 level. That wouldn't
Yeah.
happen at 6th grade so much, but at the 3-5 level
right.
for the elementary students. So those were all things that we took into account. And like I said, through the conversation that we had just last week, those things kind of rose to the top. The idea that the standards are more easily identified. If we're going to look at perhaps standards-based grading, it would also give us that, you know what I mean, in the elementary, intermediate levels, that would give us the opportunity to do that too. So there were a lot of, this is a really tough thing, do you know what I mean, picking a curriculum and getting everybody on board with it. So I felt really strongly, and when I sent the email out to teachers, because I wanted them to know what we were recommending before, I just laid it all out. These are all the things that we did, and I feel really comfortable with the decision that we're making.
What about the 6th grade staff that didn't pilot? I mean, have they seen the materials? Are they comfortable?
They have not seen the materials,
Okay.
and so that is the one piece where the
Mhm.
decision was made because of that transition
Yeah,
issue.
right.
I didn't hear anything
Mhm.
from them over the weekend, you know what I mean, like, or anybody responding with, hey, you know what I mean, we
Mhm.
didn't have a chance to be a part of this. I
Right.
think this idea of it would be really nice to bridge that
Mhm.
gap
Okay.
might override the idea that they weren't in at the ground level.
Okay, yeah, because anytime you have that transition from elementary to middle, and of course, you know, with Buckeye and Melridge kids already being at Lamouth, that makes it easier, but, you know, there is a disconnect, whether it's math or language arts, if, like, they're using 2 different programs,
Yes.
and there's not that
Yes.
carryover.
So, and then then next year, we'll take some time and we'll look at what we want to do with our 7th and 8th grade.
Okay,
Because although we don't have to pick a program, I think we're gonna need to do something to bridge between 6th grade and 9th grade when they start using the pre-AP curriculum.
mhm,
So
Mhm.
we will have those 2
Okay.
grade levels that we'll be looking at next year. So that is, we have settled on something. I will, like I said, we have a meeting today with the rep from Benchmark Advance. My thought would be that we get it out to you, you know what I mean? We'll
Mhm.
share it with you guys, and Gary can chop it up and parse it out however he wants it to go, you know, to be
Did that-
paid out. I think what
Did that
I
cost include through 6th grade?
Yes.
Okay, because we budgeted like 250, I think, for it in our PI forecast, so maybe we just do the whole thing at once and not.
Okay, I'm
We'll take a look
pretty
at it.
sure that's what, and again, let me meet with her. She also said it didn't include any potential discounts that might be, this was
Mhm.
just the straight up, you know what I mean,
Okay.
this is what it's gonna cost. So, there might be some work to be done there. What I'd like to do, and the reason I would like to get this on the agenda and get it approved, is I'd like to get the materials in before the end of the year,
mhm.
so that we can start. In fact, Abby already asked the rep if we could get somebody out here on March 10th, which is our
Yeah.
next PD day, or no, March 3rd, I think. Out here to start going through materials with teachers and having them, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, dig in. So that was, because we did the ordering so late with the K2 stuff, we were trying to get them support at the beginning of the year. So if we could get them familiar with the materials before we leave, and they
Is
have
it-
the summer.
Yeah, is it possible to get the 6th grade teachers?
Oh, for sure,
Yeah,
yes, we will,
okay.
absolutely, they will be included in that, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
now who else is using Benchmark advance in the area, like Floyd County? Do we know anyone?
Off the
Because
top
I
of my
had
head.
this original list, but that was more focused on interventions and things that we were
have
doing,
that
like
somewhere.
morphine magic, just
Mayfield
for
is
Mayfield's
using
using
it.
it, yes.
Mayfield.
Yes, I know for sure.
Okay,
I feel like maybe Perry just signed on for it. I think
Okay.
they just made their decision too.
Mhm.
Off the top of my head, I can't
Right.
remember.
Because of the
Runner
wit
went
and
with
wisdom, remember, there was the whole ball of things, and then when we found out Chardon was using it, you know, we wanted to do our own vetting, but we didn't buy everything. You know,
Yes.
it was one of those things we wanted to try the base or the core, and then see what else
What else
wanted
we
to
needed
add.
to add.
So that's the only monetary thing I would consider.
Okay,
is
is what the
If
base looks
somebody's
like, and then
using
add,
it,
yeah,
what are you actually using?
those
And
pieces.
I don't know.
Okay. Yep,
Just a
okay.
thought.
I think, I see they have some curriculum for English learners too. Is there anything included in what we'll be getting to help with students that are just learning English?
Yes.
Mhm.
There are a lot of EL resources, English language resources. There's also support and interventions for students with disabilities, so all that is embedded in the program and provides those resources for teachers, at least as a starting point, which will be nice. You know what I mean? Because we did not have that option with the reading and
Right.
writing units of study.
Okay. And then, you know, if there's like.
I'm excited that we
an
finally have made a
overview
decision
or
and
a
we can
link
start
you
rolling.
wanna send us, just so
Yeah,
we
so
can
you
read
can
up
look
on
at it, for sure.
Okay,
I can do
thank
that.
you. All right, thank
Actually,
you.
what I might do is I'll look at what comes out of this meeting today
Mhm.
as far as budgeting. Then I'll send all of that information to all of you, so you'll have that before Thursday.
Okay,
Okay?
okay. And you'll check the shipping, so you don't have to make a trip.
Oh, that's Melissa's job.
Yeah, and I'll just
She's
drive
better than
down there,
most.
that's fine.
That was unbelievable last time.
I know, right?
We resolved it.
Yes, we did. So link and cost.
Okay.
Okay. Cheryl Lanning, you're up.
So Melissa had mentioned to me on Friday, I think it was, Thursday or Friday, that there was some questions, I guess, at the Personnel and Finance Committee meeting with regards to the recommendation for an additional school psychologist to be hired for the district. So I wasn't sure if there were any questions that needed to be answered. In the Friday packet, I think that went out, I say Friday
Mhm.
packet, the board updates, it was from January 10th. I had indicated in there the need for and then the reasons why I was recommending an additional psychologist be hired. And then also the job posting listed all the responsibilities. I think there's like 27 different responsibilities that fall under the school psychologist. I didn't know if there was any other questions, and I wasn't sure. I think Denise, maybe
I
you had some
think,
questions.
well, because of what was in the packet that you sent, I just had some questions,
Oh,
because I'm
sure.
not on finance and personnel. But as far as the school psych, I know we took over the hiring our own psychs
Mhm,
in the district from ESC.
Mhm.
So that was, how many did
We have 5
Five.
currently.
Okay, and how are they allocated? Are they like, you know, certain buildings or crossover?
Well, they are assigned by buildings. However, we do have 2 of them, 2 of the 5, that go between 2 buildings, which is making it quite challenging when you start to, they're primarily responsible for helping us initiate the MTSS process.
Mhm.
So they're in 2 different buildings. So the psychologist over at Riverview also comes up here to the high school campus to help out with the large number of revals that we have up here.
Mhm.
And then we have a psychologist who goes between Parkside, which is a large building, and Buckeye, which also has quite a bit of needs. So
Mhm.
it gets quite challenging in
Mhm.
terms of having them split.
And there is
Right.
one that does preschool between Buckeye and Melrose, but it's preschool.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually, no, it's Melridge. They do Melridge and all of
Yeah.
preschool. So they actually do have, yes, I forgot, they have 2 assignments too. So 3 of the 5 are multiple assignments.
Okay, all right. And so by adding this person, you want to achieve what?
I'm hoping to have a person that can be in each building and take over the MTSS process exclusively. It's just, again, it's very hard with the number of evaluations that we have. They not only do evaluations for special education eligibility, they also do all of our initial and 504 reevaluations. So that's one of their responsibilities. They're in charge of MTSS. They do a lot of consultation. They can do counseling. They're primarily, I'm hoping to improve their effectiveness if they can be designated to a building exclusively.
Right, and that seems most effective. That's what I experienced in districts I was in, that, well, actually in Southfield and Lyndhurst, they split, but it was not effective.
It's
You
very
had very
difficult.
scant, it's just was scant coverage.
It's very difficult.
And, you know, when you have someone designated in your building, they really get to know the kids, know the parents, it's much more efficient.
The other thing is after our monitoring review process and looking at what the state wants from a compliance standpoint and evaluations, I think I indicated in the board update that over 70% of the evals that we receive for students that transition from another district into our district, we can't accept. So we're having to redo all of those evals as soon as they step in the door. I mean, as soon as they register, we have to review both the evaluation team report and the IEP, and we have to determine whether we can accept them from a compliance standpoint. And the evaluation specifically, it's 70% of them cannot be accepted.
Wow.
So that's an additional burden that they have, in addition to just keeping up with our own initial evaluations and reevaluations in the
Yeah,
district.
so there's not the transition IEP where you're like, is there something in between while you're working on it, like they come in?
No, they're coded as not being able to be accepted, and then we
Wow.
have 60 days to complete our own evaluation, and then
Okay, so
depending
the 60
on
days.
eligibility, it used to be 90, way back, oh my gosh, I don't even know
Yeah.
how many years ago now, it's changed to 60. But it's 60 days to do an evaluation from the date that you get consent to the eligibility team meeting.
So you wanted to say something, or what?
What are some of the reasons why they can't be accepted?
Compliance, they're not compliant with what the state is looking for.
They're coming from other schools in
Yes.
the area?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
We still are only, in Lake County, I think we're still the only district that's gone through the Ohio monitoring review process
Right.
from a special ed standpoint. I think Mentor was real close to being picked, but somehow escaped it. But right now, as far as I know, I'm not sure about Cuyahoga County, but in Lake County, we're the only district. So when we get these evaluations from surrounding districts, they're not meeting the standards that the state's looking for.
Vice versa, when we're sending, where students go to other areas, I'm assuming we're probably more compliant.
I would hope
assume.
so.
I would hope,
Yeah.
Assumption, but yeah.
I would hope so. And then, so when you accept an evaluation from another district, it's like you did it yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we accept a non-compliant
Yeah,
evaluation and then down the road, we're challenged in some way, shape, or form, parent files due process, it's like it's our evaluation. Doesn't matter that another district did it initially.
Right.
It's,
Point our
we've
finger.
accepted it, right.
Right, so Chris, you were gonna say.
Yeah, no, it, just in the recommendation and really looking at spearheading, going back to our strategic plan, we identify MTSS as an area that we want to focus on. If we do MTSS right and we do it right at the primary grades, it's gonna save us money in the long run in terms of special education costs and all that. So I think putting this extra person in place to kind of work with the buildings to tier out and to get a solid foundation of MTSS, and it's a change in behaviors for everyone, especially our teachers, but continuing to push that out and push that through, we are going to see improved results. It's a challenging structure. We're seeing it even at Lamouth, where we have a program that's up and running pretty well, and it's close to model of a program. We're seeing a lot of kids on higher tiers than should be, but that's because of our rigor's not there. So MTSS also lets us establish that level of rigor to make sure that we're meeting the standards, and the standards are there all the way along. I think adding this other person who's an expert on it, who knows that that's their understanding, is a strong one, because if it falls onto somebody who's not versed in that, it kind of gets lost on the wayside. If we're gonna make it a priority, we need to make sure we have the people and the supports in place to make it a priority.
So the person you're recommending, you already have this person?
We are gonna screen, we're gonna try to get somebody who's a little bit younger in their career.
Okay.
So
But that's why we wanna post now.
Yeah, I
that's
see, for posting.
the
Okay,
when I've had the most success is when we're posting and interviewing in January, February, March at the very latest. I try to target interns that are currently interning this
Mhm.
school year, so 24-25 school year. I did send out, the other thing is this area used to be really saturated with school psychologists. John Carroll no longer has a program.
Mhm.
We're looking at Cleveland State and Kent, and a lot of college students that go to Kent are from more, not necessarily Northeast Ohio. There's 14 interns that I received a list from Steve Rogaski at the Cuyahoga County ESC or ESC of Northeast Ohio, I
Mhm.
guess. And I did reach out to all 14, and I haven't gotten one response, which is
Okay.
not necessarily a really good sign.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were an intern and I had received an email that, a district was looking to hire, please let me know, I would be reaching out, at least even from a interviewing,
Mhm.
getting the experience from an interviewing standpoint. So I am a little bit worried. I do know multiple districts in our just immediate surrounding area, Menor, Madison, and Painesville City, all are experiencing shortages and will be looking for replacements, either because people going out on leave or retirements.
Okay.
So it's quite challenging to find candidates out there.
Yeah, well, some of the people we got came through an ESC that we hired. Other people might be early in their career and want to make a change because they went somewhere. And so, I mean, there's just a general posting on, what is it? Is it still AppleTrack or whatever it's called?
Well, we posted it, yes, and then it goes through
Yeah,
Apple
okay.
Track, yes.
Okay,
I mean, we did hire, all of our sites were through the ESC, but now we're hiring them in-house
right.
through
Well,
Riverside. But
with
we're
that change, the two we got last year were really strong candidates, we got them around this time.
Okay.
Yes, we did, yes, we really lucked out,
All right.
exactly.
All right, and even if they're new, coming right out of being an intern, they're collaborating with other people with a lot of experience.
We would assign them a mentor, one
Yeah.
of our mentor sites would
Okay.
absolutely help them be successful.
All right, so school site fine, so there was some other general special ed position. No, it wasn't a
No, that was the attorney, the recommendation.
Oh.
no, there was somebody moving to another position, educational special, I can't remember what it was called. But wasn't there,
It was an early transfer. We had a
Oh,
current
yes.
employee that there was a required need for a student on an IEP to have an aide.
oh,
Oh.
I see.
So they moved from.
So
a
they just moved
non-special
someone,
ed
so that's just an
position.
internal transfer,
Yeah.
okay. And then the legal, I understand that, dollars, so.
John
you need-
mentioned,
I know him.
yeah, he said
I
he
know
knows
him
you.
well.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
he
what
was
did
in
say.
West G.
Yes.
Great guy. But, obviously, he is very well versed in this area and, it's gonna be more cost effective because we have the need for that.
He is, we
Consult.
only, yes, it's different than, say, Dan McIntyre, because he's not on a retainer, he only charges when we use him. One of the great things about him is we currently.
Him being the new guy?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
We currently use two special, and Chair, please step from, we currently use two special ed attorneys, one is out of Columbus.
Mhm.
So for them to be on site is a very difficult challenge. The other one is with a very, Walter Hatfield's a great firm, they do
Oh, yeah, I
great,
know.
they do great
Western
research, but,
Western
Western
Herd,
Herd, I'm sorry,
they
yeah.
used to be-
Oh.
Yeah,
Used to be Walter Hatfield,
yeah.
Okay.
They're phenomenal, but they're pretty busy.
Mhm.
And so if we need somebody, it's nice to have another person in the bullpen to kind of say, we need someone on site, we know you have the expertise, we know that you're strong. And also, they typically when you talk to special ed attorneys, they're gonna tell you two different things, the same person, the same laws.
Mhm.
So kind of getting that as well was
Right.
really
It
important.
would be across the board
Yes.
too, right? We could use, because sometimes I'll have questions when we're doing suspensions or
Mhm,
expulsions,
mhm.
or I'm running through that process.
Mhm.
And sometimes it is harder to get a hold of, you know what I mean, Dan, because they are just so
Oh, yeah.
busy and I just need a quick question. So I
That-
could utilize them in that situation too, okay.
And having the option of, the associate as well,
Mhm.
for some of the routine mill stuff is kind of nice
Okay.
to that.
So I'm gonna go to you as the treasurer, so there's a pot of money for, what we're already paying out for legal. So by using this person that's local, that's more accessible, we may not be going to some of those other two, but do you see like a lot of additional expense for this, or it's gonna level out?
I would see, like Western Herd's a lot more expensive than this individuals, so if we're not using them as much, using them, there's gonna be a savings there. Obviously, if it's general counsel, we have we have Dan and retainer, so there'll be an additional cost there. I'm thinking it's gonna be kind of a wash, depending
Okay.
on the circumstances.
All right, I just wonder,
But especially with the
expense-wise.
savings. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I wanted to know. But yeah, that seems like a good move to get Sykes designated in buildings.
I think he's about $100 less an hour than.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So.
That's all I got.
That's it. All right,
Yep.
so it's just the February 10th professional development. You mentioned something in March,
So our next PD day is March 3rd.
March 3rd.
Yep, so we'll roll right into that. So probably in our February, we could also set our next meetings.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? We should do that while we're all here. That'll be
Yeah.
easier.
Okay.
At our February meeting, then we'll review what happened on February 10th, talk about what's happening on March 3rd, so.
Okay, got it. So we don't have to do a Monday, and I know we have President's Day the 17th. Do you want to do
Well,
the
why
19th? February 19th, a
Let's
Wednesday?
see what I have.
We've got a meeting set up, but.
I have internal monitoring, but that's at 8:30. But they'll start coming in, I know.
I have 7:30. Oh, this is gonna be.
How about the 18th?
Well, it says a coaches meeting.
Yeah, the 18th would work.
7:30 in the evening?
Yeah, because I can push the coaches meeting back till 8:30. Okay.
Or that.
Gary, you gonna pop these in the calendar for me? Okay. So we're gonna do February 18. Yeah, we might get to push everything
I
back.
was gonna say 4, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then
Okay.
we'll work on
Do you wanna
the.
do
Well,
March too?
let's do March,
You
yeah,
wanna do
because
March?
things are.
Because of the break,
Yeah, things are so crazy. When's our March board meeting?
the
It's
20th.
20th. How about,
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm out, I believe it should look County on the 12th, so how about the 11th again, for Tuesday?
Mm,
That works for me.
No, that will not work for me. I'm in Ashland that day.
Okay.
The next day I'm in. We. Earlier is better for you, Lori? Is it-
It just, if we're planning out, I can usually finagle things, so.
The 10th, and Monday? I'd like to do it the week, at least after the PD day.
Yes, I would too, because that'll be, we could do Monday the 10th or Friday the 14th. Either one of those works for me.
I have to recover on Friday from SpongeBob.
Could we do the 14th,
Dancing.
just because I don't know how,
Yeah, that's fine.
I have a medical.
I
thing.
will too, as it turns out, Chris.
So is the
Oh, that's
14th
right.
okay?
No, I can't do the 14th.
You can't do.
No, okay. Can we
Okay.
go back to the 10th then?
Yeah, we'll
Can
do the
you-
10th.
can
I
we
think
try-
I'll be
okay.
okay.
Okay,
Are we still doing 7:30?
yes.
Okay.
If that works for everybody. Okay, we'll do February, March, we got on the books. Should we try to do April? Now?
I'm good with doing April.
Okay.
That's fine.
We would probably want to go the week of the 14th, maybe?
Tax day? April 15th?
I can do the
Can you do
15th.
tax day? Is that-
See,
is
we're
that like
getting
a
out where my
holiday? I
calendar
don't
is a
know.
little bit more open now, yes, so we could do, yeah, we can do the 15th. Are you good with that?
Yep,
Okay, all right, that'll get us there, then we'll take a look at what we think we need in
Yeah.
May and June, okay.
sounds good. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you, that was good stuff.